Hello, John Bloodworth Gentleman Crafter here with a tutorial video on how to design and make a gift bag as you see here. It's got a reinforced upper section, some holes for either ribbon or cord, and a self-locking base which makes it easy to assemble. Now you can either cut it from card and apply the decorative layers that we'll make, or just cut the main thing from patterned paper and you have yourself a very stylish little gift bag. Now this one I cut from pure white card, so again you can make them elegant, maybe wedding favours for your wedding, or little party favour bags, whatever you fancy. Anyway, I'm going to be using Canvas Workspace for PC, that's the installed version, and this is what we will end up with. A neatly organised cut file with decorative panels and the bag itself, together with cut lines and score lines. So this way you can easily send this over to your machine in parts and cut and score as many times as you want. And of course we'll export it as a project file as well. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is set up the artboard. I'm going to activate Snap to Grid in the artboard tab, and I'm going to set the grid spacing to 1/4 of an inch, that's 0.25 inches. Obviously I've got my dimensions set to inches, so you might want to change that if you've got them set on millimeters. Now I've just got this design that I've created earlier just to give me something to work to. You won't have that, just follow along with what I'm doing from this point. So we're going to add a square, turn off maintain aspect ratio in the edit tab, and set the width at 11.5 inches and the height at 5 inches. We're then going to drag that so that it's 1 inch down, and you can always use the position elements over on the right as well to do that, as I've just highlighted here. X is left and right and Y is up and down. We're going to add another square, and we'll set this one to 4 inches wide and 1.25 inches tall. And we'll drag that into position 1.5 inches across and basically on the top edge, so 0 down on the Y. Copy and paste that until it's at 7 inches across, then select all three and weld them. Next up we're going to add the hanging holes, so we'll add a circle. We'll turn on maintain aspect ratio and set the size to 1/4 of an inch. Then we're going to zoom in so we can see a bit better what we're doing. And we'll drag that into position. Now I'm doing it so that it's 5 squares across and 1 up from the top edge of that main section. And just copy and paste and drag across again, so it's 5 inches, or it's not 5 inches, 5 squares in from the edge of that upper section. And copy and paste those two, and they're basically 2 squares up and 2 squares down from that top line. Again, just keep your eye top right if you want to see the exact X and Y locations. So we'll zoom out again, so we've got that all done there. Next up, I'm going to zoom into that bottom edge because I want to create the self-closing loop. Now for this one, I'm going to use the path tool because it's quite an irregular shape. I'm going to start 2 squares up from the bottom edge. And then I'm going to go 5 squares down from that bottom edge, click once, 3 across, click, 2 up, click, and then 3 up and 3 across in a diagonal, and click, and then basically come down to match that height, 2 across, 2 up, and then all the way across until I'm 2 away from that edge. And just keep going around as you see me doing here. So 3 across, 3 down, 2 down, 3 across, 5 up, 3 across, 3 down in a diagonal, 2 down, and then all the way across until we're basically mirroring this. So 3 in from that side edge, or 5 in from the visible side edge that you'll have. And then I'm basically going up and across to close that shape off. I'm then going to select the 2 shapes that form the main box and weld them together. Next, while I've got that object selected, I'll click it again to enter the node editing mode. And I'm going to drag that bottom corner up and the top corner down on that side piece. That will form our tab to stick things together. And then with the 2 sections at the top, I'm going to drag the top corners in one square. Now that's the main box finished. We next need to add the score lines. But first what I'm going to do is group all of these cut shapes together. So select them all and press Ctrl G to group them. And I'll rename them cut as well, so I know what they are when I come back to them. I'm going to lock those in place because I want to draw on top of them. I'll grab the path tool again and I'm going to form the little triangular sections. So we're going to go 4 up and 3 across and make our start with a single click, and then click in each of those corners and then close it off by coming back to the original spot. Copy and paste that to form the second one. Grab the path tool again and then do a vertical line connecting the point of that triangle to the top edge of the box. So single click to start and double click to finish. Next we can form a rectangle to do the score lines for the rest of that. So you're just joining up those points of the design. Same again for the last one. And there we have all of our score lines done. So I'm going to select all of those and I'm going to give them a different color so we can identify them in the design. Make sure they're all selected and then group them and name them score. Now in the properties panel you can set the dash panel if you still work with cutting dashed lines for your fold lines, but I've done a video recently on how to use drawing lines to emboss score lines, so do check that out and I'll be using that method. Now I'm going to select both of those groups and group those, and that will form the cutting file for the bag. I'm going to lock those in place. And then I'm going to create the decorative panels. Now for this, I'm going to start halfway down the edge of the main section. Go up till I'm 1 square before the top and single click. Then 1 up and 1 across and then click and drag. And that forms a rounded corner. Same here. Single click for the first section and then click and drag for the next. And then I'll just do straight corners, so single clicks for the other 3 that go around the circular cutouts. And then I'll just work my way around in this fashion, creating curved corners at the bottom. And then close it off. Then I'll copy and paste this after getting rid of that extra node. So just enter the node editing mode, select it and delete it. Then copy and paste it and drag it across to where it should be. Grab both, go into the edit tab, all the way to the bottom and click on offset. I'm then going to set my spacing to 0.12 inches. set it to go inward, choose the round corner type and delete the original, and then click OK. And then that gives us the decorative panels for the project. I'll give those a different colour as well so we can see those in the future. Now they don't need to be exactly where they are just now, so we can drag those to a position where we'll get better use of our paper stock. Then in the layer panels we'll group those together and rename the layer. So again we know what they are when we come back to this. And then in the Artboard tab, I'm going to turn off Snap to Grid because at the moment the cut file is outside of that red border and that will create an error message. So we need to drag that so that it's within that red dashed border on our cutting mat. Now I'll get rid of the original one that I was working on to do this project, and I will lock and hide the panels layer, and that will allow me to just send over the cutting file for the bag via Export Transfer on the File menu. You can ignore this warning message, it's just telling you that the locked layer won't be sent over. And then you can choose whichever of these export methods you normally use. Top one is USB, middle one is Wi-Fi, and the bottom one is a cabled connection. Once you've sent that to your machine and cut it out, you can then hide and lock that layer and make visible the panels layer and unlock it, and then send that over in exactly the same way. Obviously if you're not using that, then don't bother. Same again with the transfer options, and then that will all go over and get cut out. And of course don't forget to save this as a project, or save as if you want to give it a new file name, and that means you can just open this and send it over to your machine whenever you want to in the future. Now once you've got it all cut out, you can obviously add the decorative layers if you're going to use them. The vertical scoreline and the triangular scoreline in the middle of the side panels are valley folds. Everything else is a mountain fold. And I've just pre-added some double-sided tape here. You can of course use glue if you prefer, but I found that double-sided tape was just a little bit quicker on this occasion. And what we're going to do is fold down those top sections and stick them in place. This gives us a reinforced top edge to make it nice and sturdy. And then we'll turn the project face down and fold in on this outer fold so that we can see our double-sided tape. Peel back the carrier and fold over that edge so that it comes into contact with that double-sided tape. And then for the base, you're going to fold in this section first, then the side tabs, and then this section last, and you'll push that in until it tucks under that first piece, and that self-locks and gives you a nice sturdy base on your project. Now of course you can add cord or ribbon, whichever you prefer. For this I'm just using a bit of ribbon, and I'm going to take it through from the inside and tie a knot, and then I'll repeat that for the other end. And the benefit of doing this from the inside is that as the weight of the gift inside the bag pulls down, then the tension on the cord or the ribbon will pull the top together. Mind you, it depends how heavy your chocolate bar is. And then of course you can decorate it with whatever you fancy. I've just got a couple of die cuts here that I've created a floral arrangement with. I'm just going to plonk that right on the front. Plonk is a technical term when it comes to craft. Now of course do the same with the other cord, and then you will end up with a fancy gift bag. As I mentioned at the start of the video, you can of course cut this from coloured cardstock and then add the decorative layers later, Or if you fancy, you can of course cut this from patterned paper itself and ignore the decorative panels. Both give you a fantastic result as just plain simple white cardstock. Whatever occasion you're going to make these for, or however many you're going to make, I hope you enjoy making and creating, and I look forward to seeing what you do make. Enjoy making, and of course, as we're on YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe.